Hello and a very warm welcome. What we'll do over the next half an hour is give you, our viewers, an opportunity to participate in the My Dream Cabinet, the India Today website online poll where you get to pick which of these prominent members of the NDA you want to place in the key portfolios of finance, telecom, home, railways. This is the one game, frankly, that everyone's been playing all across the country for the last 3 days and will continue all through the weekend. We've been running this contest on our website. The ones who get the answers right also have some great prizes to look forward to. We've also got a bunch of crack pundits who've been working on their own time, figuring out who might get what portfolio. I'll be speaking to them and getting them to form their dream cabinet, and they'll explain why they've picked a particular leader for a particular portfolio. But what we'll do at the start is play out the results of the India Today website opinion poll on Modi's fantasy cabinet, my dream cabinet. Remember, this is just the people's popular choice. These are not based on journalistic sources. This is based on what people who are viewing headlines today and have been going to our website would like to see Narendra Modi do. So first, let's take you through how you can participate in this game, how you can make your own cabinet, and also how you can win prizes. Because if your mind works like Modi's and you crack all, if not most, right, there are very fancy prizes waiting for you. So let's take a look at the results so far of the My Dream Cabinet contest.
It's your chance to create your dream cabinet. Pick your ministers at the click of a mouse. Just log on to indiatoday.in/dreamcabinet. Drag and drop the ministers into the slots you want. Voila! That's your fantasy cabinet. Modify your choice. Just click and reshuffle.
72 hours to go before you and I have a new government, a new prime minister and a new cabinet. But you, the viewer of headlines today, don't actually have to wait 72 hours, because today and over the weekend, we're giving you the freedom to build your very own virtual fantasy cabinet. In just a moment, we're going to put a web link on air where you can actually visit that link and build your own little cabinet. Prime Minister is Narendra Modi. That's non-negotiable for the moment. Imagine if Vaiko was finance minister. Imagine if Venkaiah Naidu was the telecom minister. Would VK Singh, a former chief of army staff, be happy with women, child and development? Well, you can have a lot of fun with this. Let your imagination completely soar. Would Smriti Irani, who's had a hard-fought fight in Amethi, be happy with something like railways? Imagine if Shotgun was the defense minister. Lots of people would be really happy with that. Ramadas Tainted, would he be happy with something like Ministry of Power? Varun Gandhi, he's been very quiet right through this election. What kind of cabinet slot would you give him? Would you give him, because he's young and he's telegenic and he's eloquent, would he be happy with something like external affairs? Shahnawaz Hussain, who actually lost the election, would he be happy with something like home? As you can see, no limit to your imagination. You can build your own little cabinet.
Team Modi is still work in progress, but everyone seems to have a personal opinion, a personal favorite candidate for each of the portfolios. So here is a people's choice so far. The people's choice for Narendra Modi's dream cabinet. Well, Narendra Modi's virtual cabinet by your virtual vote. And 87% people who voted for Modi as the king. There are other fun options like Sachin Tendulkar as well in this interactive game on our website. But let's first focus on Narendra Modi's dream team and what that could look like. Beginning with Rajnath Singh. Now, BJP President Rajnath Singh has got 50% virtual votes to head the Ministry of Home Affairs. His strength remains his clean image. But what goes against him is that during his first stint as BJP chief, he failed to stem infighting within his party, though he seemed to have bounced back this time with Narendra Modi by his side. The other possible cabinet minister, well, General VK Singh, former army chief General VK Singh, has gotten overwhelming 59% virtual votes to be the next defense minister of the country. He obviously understands the army machinery and is best qualified for this job, but there is also this apprehension at the same time that his appointment could trigger politics within the armed forces. The third possible cabinet minister, Sushma Swaraj. She's got 23% of the virtual votes so far to head the Ministry of External Affairs. She was the woman face of the NDA government last time, and she even took on Sonia Gandhi from Bellary in Karnataka. But her big weakness remains the fractured rapport that she has with Narendra Modi. The other key leader, Anant Kumar, who could possibly find a place in Narendra Modi's cabinet, he's pipped to get the telecom portfolio with virtual votes up to 12%. An important Karnataka face in Delhi, he's held several cabinet portfolios in the previous NDA government. His weakness again remains allegations that have cropped up of corruption against him. Let's look at a crucial ally now of the BJP, LJP leader Ram Vilas Paswan. He's pipped to get the Railways Ministry with virtual votes up to 19%. His strength remains the fact that he has earlier held this portfolio and has been one of the big faces of Dalit politics in India. But the weakness remains that he's a slippery ally. He was once a severe Modi critic and has switched sides frequently. So that clearly goes against him. Another veteran leader of the BJP, Murli Manohar Joshi, who could possibly find place for himself in Narendra Modi's dream team. He's got 17% virtual votes to head the HRD ministry. His strength remains that he is one of BJP's old trinity. His weakness, he may not wish to work under Narendra Modi as a prime minister. Nitin Gadkari, the other big BJP leader, he could possibly get power ministry. He's got 12% virtual votes here. His strength remains his proximity to the Sangh Parivar. The weakness, allegations of corruption that have cropped up time and again. Let's now take you inside the Rajya Sabha and let's take a look at the leaders possibly who could be part of Narendra Modi's dream team from here. Arun Jaitley, he's got a massive 68% people voting for him, wanting him to get the finance portfolio. His strength remains that he is Narendra Modi's most trusted strategist, his legal advisor, and one of the most articulate voices in the BJP. His weakness, well, he just recently lost the lone Lok Sabha election that he fought. He has no mass base. Next up, former BJP President Venkaiah Naidu. He's got 11% virtual votes and he may get the agriculture portfolio. The strength remains his organizational skills. However, the weakness is that he again has no mass base. Another key leader, and very interesting one, Smriti Irani. She's got 41% virtual votes to get the Women and Child Development portfolio. The strength being that she has earned brownie points now for taking on Rahul Gandhi from Amethi. The weakness remains that she is still new to politics at the center.
Well, here's the link where you can go and build your very own fantasy cabinet.
As of now, Narendra Modi is keeping his choices a very closely guarded secret, but that doesn't stop us from playing the My Dream Cabinet, the Fantasy League. And remember, there's a big prize to be had if your choice actually matches that of Narendra Modi. I want to introduce our experts for our show tonight, starting with Mohandas Pai, who's joining us from Bangalore. He's very keen on a stable government. That's exactly what he's got. Also with us on this program, Harish Bijur, leading brand consultant, Madhu Kishwar, who's been tracking this election very closely, and with me in the studio, image consultant Dilip Cherian. I want to start with Dilip. Dilip, you've got this big screen now in front of us. You tell me who you want me to place and where, and explain to our viewers why, and then we'll see if all our experts are in agreement on what can possibly be Modi's dream cabinet. Dilip, fire away.
This sounds like fun, Rahul, except
Yes.
with one quick caveat that I guarantee you that all of us punters don't have a clue because nobody knows the mind of Modi.
Sure.
And the second thing is that I don't think he's consulting too many people. Okay. But having said that, I would tend to believe that Rajnath would get home.
Okay, just 1 second. You want me to drag Rajnath Singh into the Home Ministry?
And
There he is. Why?
I think he'll be a reluctant entrant there because he really doesn't want to leave party presidentship. I would say that the dark horse for finance is probably Arun Shuri. I know he's not in your list, but I would place Arun Shuri in finance.
Okay, this is a game. The advantage is we can add lists,
Sure.
add names. So we will add Arun Shuri overnight, but there's also Arun Jaitley. Who's
Arun
a front
Jaitley I would place in foreign affairs because of his ability to argue, discuss, and his stature in the cabinet.
Okay, I've got Jaitley down in foreign affairs. Yes.
For defense, I think, given that the CCS should have at least one person who is not from North India, I would say that he would probably toss somebody like Venkaiah Naidu there, simply because he would have to do some balancing.
For defense, Venkaiah Naidu.
Yeah.
That's a surprise pick. You're saying Venkaiah Naidu for
Yeah.
defense. Okay.
I'll start with this to to begin, and then we can add more as we go along.
Okay, let's give the other experts a chance as well. I'll just send them all back to their positions, and I now go across to Mohandas Pai. The image is up on your screen. Mr. Pai, tell us who is positioned where in your fantasy league, sir? Fire away and explain why.
Well, I will tell you, I will put Gadkari in railways, because railways is the most critical thing that Modi has said should need to work, and he's got a good record as the infrastructure minister in Mumbai. And I would support Arun Shori for finance. I know he's not there, because I think Arun Shori is neutral in the finance area. He is not connected to any industrial house. He's been out of politics, and he'll handle things very well without conflict of interest.
Okay.
And for foreign affairs, I would have Ravi Shankar Prasad, because I think Ravi Shankar Prasad has the gift of the gab. He is the man of great patience, and he has to travel very often, because 60% time must be traveling abroad, and he has a very pleasant personality, and I think Ravi Shankar Prasad will carry the field very well as India's foreign minister.
Okay.
I would put Arun Jaitley in. I would put Arun Jaitley in defense.
Arun Jaitley
because
in
defense is very critical. Yes, Arun Jaitley in defense, because defense is very critical. There are too many deals coming up. There is the need for a person who can be honest, who can make sure that things work, who is impeccable, and who can talk to the opposition on many issues. So having Arun Jaitley there in defense would really work, and that will be fantastic. Now for women and child affairs, I would put Sushma Swaraj. I know it could mean that I'm being gender blind, but let's say biased. But I guess there's a need for great sensitivity in this area, because women are oppressed in this country, and having a very strong woman to make sure that women get the due share.
She might not like that, Mr. Pai. I can tell you. She's eyeing a CCS birth. You send her to women and child development is not something she's going to like. Nonetheless, fire away.
Well, yeah, I think women child welfare would be something for her that I think will be fantastic. And then you will basically have home. And to me, I don't know whether Rajnath Singh should handle home, because home has to be, because Rajnath Singh may have to work on the party, because the party has to be kept together. And now with elections coming up in Maharashtra, other places, I think he's best suited to be in the party, because he's been able to handle very well. The team has worked well.
Okay.
So I would not like him to be in the cabinet. And I would give Venkaiah Naidu home, because for a simple reason, there's a because for a simple reason that you need a person who is from a different part of India from where the action is, and a person who can possibly has the gift of the gab, and who can argue for a long time and handle many things.
Stay with us.
Naidu is from South India.
I want to involve our other guests also and give them an opportunity to participate.
Yes.
Starting first with Harish Bijur. We've seen Dilip Cherian's league. We've seen also Mohandas Pai give us his favourites. Madhu Kishwar and Harish Bijur. Starting with Mr. Bijur, what's your pick, sir? And why?
Okay, Rahul, actually this has been a fantasy mandate for the BJP, and therefore I think we deserve a fantasy cabinet for sure.
Sure.
And if I'm really looking at the cabinet, the first name I'm going to suggest is going to be a controversial one. Home. I would definitely want a softer face for home. I would definitely want someone like Sushma Swaraj for home.
Oh, wow.
And I think having a woman as your home minister,
but there's a trust deficit between Modi and Sushma Swaraj. Do you think he'll give her an important portfolio like home?
Yeah, I'm being totally onto a trip of fantasy.
Oh, okay, sure.
I know this is unrealistic.
Next choice.
But I think who deserves it? I think Sushma deserves it. Finance, I think Arun Jaitley. Very clearly Arun Jaitley. I think he's shown his savvy, and his mind is totally in sync with Modi. And Modi is a finance man on his own. External affairs, I would really look at somebody like Nitin Gadkari. I know you'll find this strange, but I'm really trying to say that, you know, anybody else can actually handle external affairs. Railways, I'm looking back at Ram Vilas Paswan. Back to Paswan.
But why?
Agriculture.
Why? He wasn't much of a railway minister earlier. Why do you want to give him a crucial portfolio which involves so much infrastructure upgradation?
I'm saying, you know, respect your ally, respect the people who stood by you. And, you know, Mr. Modi has indicated very clearly that all partners are going to be treated equitably.
Okay.
And if equitable treatment is it, I think railways needs to be given to someone. And I think nobody like Ramvilas Paswan. Agriculture, Rajnath Singh. I'm saying this because Rajnath Singh is a very powerful man. I see him to be a number 2 persona, and I think agriculture deserves a number 2 persona. If you have a number 7 or a 8 kind of a persona, agriculture is going to struggle the way it is struggling today.
Just hold your horses for a moment. I want to go across to Madhu Kishwa and get her to share with our viewers her fantasy league. Fire away, Miss Kishwar, and remember, if you get these answers right, you might win the prize. Any of our viewers, of course, could as well. But here's your chance to tell us who would form your dream cabinet, Miss Kishwar.
Rahul, I don't know about my dream cabinet, but I hope it doesn't turn out to be a nightmare cabinet. Because there are plenty of people who could cause havoc if they were given
amongst the list that we have. Who would you like to place where, ma'am?
Mr. That's what I'm saying. I would not like to see Murli Manohar Joshi go back to HRD or any ministry. I think it would be a nightmare for the country.
Who would you like to place? This is a fantasy league, not a nightmare league. We'll have a separate game on that. Right. Amongst these people, who would you like to place where?
See, I think that given the importance Narendra Modi places to both law and order, internal security and external security, including defense preparedness and defense indigenization, I would like Narendra Modi to keep home and defense with himself.
What do the others do then?
Right now,
there'll be a lot of disappointment with that, Ms. Kishwa.
Well, they can handle with their disappointment because they'll have plenty to do. He's going to make everybody work so hard.
Okay.
They will regret being anywhere near him.
Who else? Okay, that's defense and home. What else?
As far as external affairs is concerned, I agree Ravi Shankar would make, or even Arun Jaitley would make a good external affairs if he has to be.
Okay.
Arun or Ravi Shankar for external affairs, definitely. And for infrastructure, I would agree with, I think it was Mr. Pai who said Mr. Gadkari would be a good choice. And
they're also attempting, Mr. Cherian, to try and consolidate the portfolios. That's something that they're trying to do, and that would be great. What are the portfolios that you'd like to see consolidated, and what about the rest of the ministries that are still left? Quickly.
I would say that the portfolios to consolidate would definitely be power and non-conventional energy, and a whole bunch of other similar subjects need to be put together. I would say that you need also perhaps look at a gigantic infrastructure ministry which would probably include ports, civil aviation, all of that together. Such a clubbing would make sense, both because Modi would expect his ministers to work very hard, he would expect them to report back to him, and I think he also likes to make sure that ministers take a more holistic view. And if he does that, he also has another advantage.
Mr. Pai, do you see also a big consolidation of ministries under Modi? He's been speaking of small government. Do you see that happen when the first cabinet is announced on the 26th? And what are the portfolios from here that you'd like to see consolidated?
I would like to see a small number of portfolios for the simple reason having a larger number of ministers means there could be greater chance of corruption and incompetence and ministers fighting over each other, and seeing Modi's reign in Gujarat, he'll have a smaller cabinet. So I would think that the power and energy needs to be consolidated because there's a big mess and India has been hurt because of incompetent ministers, and there I think Rahul, I would prefer Suresh Prabhu. I know Suresh Prabhu is outside the system, but he's been a remarkable minister when he held the power ministry.
But Uddhav Thackeray doesn't like him very much, and that's a big problem because your boss needs to like you if you have to get a shoe in here.
I know that's too bad. That's too bad for Uddhav because India deserves much more than that. India deserves the best, and I think Modi wants to give India the best, and we should have the best person in India. And second, Gadkari should handle transportation, and that could surface transportation. I think transportation is a very big one. That is surface transportation including shipping, and I think airways, like the Rakesh Mohan committee recommendation, they all have to be consolidated. Roads, railways, aviation should come together because that's all infrastructure, the basic building block.
So you also
for the
want to see
supply chain of this
infrastructure
country.
being brought together, Mr. Bijur. Which are the ministries? There's a lot of talk in Delhi of how some ministries might be brought together to create super ministries. It's difficult to do because there are pulls and pressures applying on Modi as well. But which are the ministries that you'd like to see come together as one, and whom would you like to place there, Mr. Bijur?
You know, I think a lot of them, particularly, you know, finance and commerce, I think, you know, that's one particular typical mandate. And if you look at infrastructure and railways, I think, you know, that, I know railways is a big portfolio, but still, that could combine together. I must also bring in a wee bit of southern jingoism, Bangalore jingoism into the party at this point of time. And I would like to recommend women and child welfare for Shobha Karandlaje.
Okay.
You know, she's the only women MP from the south of India, from the south of the Vindhyas. So I think, you know, she would make a great fit there.
Okay, so I just want to tell our viewers in conclusion, this is just the first cut. You get to participate. There's some more names that have been tossed in. We will rework this and have it up on our website. You can participate. That's the address. indiatoday.in/dream cabinet. You've seen what Dilip Cherian, Madhu Kishwar, Mohandas Pai and Harish Bijur had to say. You can participate. Form your own cabinet, send it to us, and then we'll see who is closest to Modi's dream cabinet. Thank you all very much for joining us on our broadcast tonight.